folding through their faces and the tops of their wings, and the bands through their tail are a sunset coloration. So they've got oranges to yellows, as Karak is displaying beautifully just there. We have 5 different species of black cockatoo here in Australia. But the red-tailed black cockatoos that you find up in northwestern Victoria are actually one of our threatened species. They're losing those old growth trees they need to nest in, and they're also really selective feeders. So there's actually only a few native tree species that they will happily feed on out in the wild. Now, the birds we've met so far are all cockatoos. And basically what makes a cockatoo is their crest. So those feathers that they've got on the top of their head. And they'll use that crest as a communication tool. So they'll use that to communicate with their own flock, show different emotions, expressions, alarm, all sorts of things. Now, this is the most spectacular crest of any cockatoo we have here in Australia. This is Matilda, and she is a pink cockatoo. She will come a little bit closer. She's going to fly hopefully up to this one behind me here, and you'll be able to get a really beautiful look at that crest again. These are a species that are found in our dry, arid regions, so you can see them up in northwestern Victoria as well as inland through central Australia. They have that beautiful dusky pink colour where they get their name from, and they can blend in beautifully with those dry, arid regions as well. So that crest is absolutely stunning, and she has done a fantastic job for us here today.
So if you're interested in the way that we train our animals, we use positive reinforcement. So we reward the behaviours that we want them to do more often, and we try to set them up to get it right every single time. We also train the animals to participate in their own healthcare voluntarily. So if there's a treatment or a procedure, we try to give them the choice to opt in. And what's crucial to that is that they have a way to communicate their consent. We often train our birds to present different parts of their body for a little bit of a health check. So this is our long-billed corella. His name is Kevin. And if I needed to have a look at his wings, for example, to check that they were in good condition, I don't need to touch him to stretch those wings out. I can use my training to ask him to show me his wings. Beautiful. Sometimes birds can develop health issues on the bottoms of their feet, and that's a tricky area to see on a perch, so it's a really good behaviour to train as well. And Kevin here can show me each of his feet in turn, can't you, buddy? Nice. If I wanted to see how his joints were moving and see if he was moving nice and fluidly, I could ask him to turn it all the way around for me. Beautiful. That also gives me a really good look at all of his feathers all over. We also train our birds to step onto our hand. Now, that is not just an easy way to move them around. That's actually a consent signal that we use at the start of a training session or before every presentation. We ask our birds to step onto our hand, and it's kind of like asking, do you want to train right now? And they're totally allowed to say no and stay on the perch. When they say yes, it's really clear that they've opted in. So it's a nice signal for both of us. Now, I want you to take a good look at Kevin, because this is what a typical long-billed corella beak looks like. And we're going to get the chance in a minute to compare that with another bird who looks a little bit different. So you can see that the top part of his beak is long. You're a bit unsteady on your feet there, mate. It's longer than it is at the bottom. It comes down to a nice sharp point. And they actually use that to dig, so they can get down on the ground and dig up the roots and bulbs of plants, and that forms part of their diet, so it's a really important feature for them. So keep the shape of Kevin's beak in mind, because we're going to ask him to head off home. And we're going to take a look at a bird who is actually Kevin's girlfriend, Anna. And she has a medical condition that she's had for her whole life, which is that her beak keeps growing longer and longer, and it actually doesn't wear down the way that they naturally do. So her beak gets to be too long to the point where she wouldn't be able to forage and survive in the wild. And the vets have advised us that what she needs is to regularly have her beak filed for the rest of her life. We really wanted to set her up with a way to do this voluntarily so that we didn't need to restrain her. And this is how we helped do that. We made a little adjustment to her perch here. How cool are those wild kookaburras? I'm a little distracted by that. You have no idea how hard it was to train them to make that noise right at this moment. So this is just a piece of wire on her perch with some wooden dowel on the end, but we've trained her to hold on to this with her beak. And that little bit of training, that beak rest, does 3 things for us. It gives her a really clear job to do. It's really important that you're not asking an animal to do nothing. It keeps her beak in a nice still position so we can bring the file up to where her beak is. But most importantly, this is her consent signal for beak filing. So this is how she tells us she wants her beak filed, and if she wants to tell us to stop, which she's allowed to do at any point, all she has to do is just let go, and she knows we'll always stop the whole thing. So she's in control of it all. That's the way we want it to be. And we're actually really proud of how far we've come with her, because not only can we file her beak this way, we can actually file her beak with a power tool. This is a Dremel. It's a power sander. Sometimes people do their dog's nails at home, and people do use a Dremel on their dog's nails. It's exactly the same as that. Just imagine that her nails are in the middle of her face. So let's bring Fergie out here. This is not something that every bird needs. This is just for her particular medical condition. But you could maybe think about your own pets at home and any things you could train with them. This is Fergie, the long-billed gorilla, and you can see that her beak is a different shape to Kevin's. Now, at this end of the perch, we often work on other behaviours. So I could ask Fergie to turn around for me. That was beautiful. If I want to see if she wants to do any beak filing, I'll just head over to the beak rest, and she straight away says, yes, please. So while she's comfy holding on there, that means she's saying yes to me touching that Dremel on the tip of her beak. She's just taking the husk of her seed for a second. There we go. And it doesn't need to be in contact for very long. What I'm looking for from her is that while she's holding on, she's nice and still and calm, and that she keeps coming back to offer it again next time, because that's what tells me this is really working for her. It's working so well for her, she would probably do this all day. So if I want to tell her that's enough for today, all I need to do is head away to the other side of the perch, and that tells her we don't need to do any more beak filing today, but do you want to show me your right foot? What about your left foot? Yes, good job, girl. She did a great job out here today. That was Fergie, the long-billed gorilla, and her boyfriend, Kevin.
Long-billed gorillas are pretty easy to spot out in the wild. You'll see them in pretty big flocks, and they'll spend most of their time down on the ground foraging for food. The next bird we've got, though, is one that's actually really hard to spot out in the wild. They're found in a really small pocket of far north Queensland on the Cape York Peninsula, as well as in some of the larger islands of the Pacific. This is Les, and Les is our male Eclectus parrot. I want you to have a look at all of Les's colours. You'll see that I'm not going to pay that because I was not expecting you to fly to me, that's fine. So you'll see he's got some beautiful colours. He's green across his back, he's got that big bright orange beak, and some of you might have got a little squiz underneath his wings there and seen some extra special colours there as well. And their colour is really, really important to their survival. It's actually not just there to look good. When he's sitting up at the top of those, okay, bye Les. So he's ducked off a little bit early. Our owls out the back were looking up and having a really big look around. So there is a very high possibility that we might be graced by some wild birds of prey at some point. All the wild birds seem to be going a little bit loopy. That's totally fine. So what I was going to say about Les is he camouflages in perfectly with his environment, and it helps keep him safe from some of those predators flying around above. Female Eclectus parrots, though, they're actually a different colour because they live much lower down in their rainforest canopy, and they'll be spending sort of 10 months of the year in a nesting hollow, defending that from other female Eclectus parrots. Our next bird is one that also relies on her camouflage. She just does it for a slightly different reason. So Les uses his to be hidden from predators. This is Millie. Millie is our barking owl, and she uses her camouflage to be hidden from her prey. So she's got these beautiful grey mottled feathers that actually help her to blend in perfectly up against the trunks of trees in our dense woodland environments. She's got two big beautiful yellow eyes on the front of her face that act like searchlights to help her find her prey. Now Millie can't see in colour like we can. She can actually only see in black and white, but she can see in a far greater detail and distance than us, with a focus on movement through the trees. You'll see she's moving her head around a lot while she's sitting on our gloves. It looks like owls can turn their head all the way around. She actually can't quite do that. She can turn her head left to right, though, in an arc of about 270 degrees. And that actually comes in really handy for Millie, because unlike us, she can't actually move her eyeballs inside her head. She does actually need to move her neck in order to see around. Now, when she takes her next flight, you'll notice when she flaps her wings, there was actually no sound at all. And that's because Millie's got frayed flight feathers and tiny down hairs on the underside of her wings, which actually muffles the airflow. So if she wasn't making any noise, she can actually hunt in complete silence. She's got what we call lopsided or offset ears, which basically just means on one side of her head, her ear is actually higher up than the other. This means she can triangulate sound because she can hear up and down as well as left and right. So she can actually, if she can't see her prey, she can still hear them, swoop down off that branch and catch them with her feet. Now, prey for barking owls isn't just things like your rats and mice. It actually includes other things that live up in those treetops. So your possums, gliders, even other small birds are all on the menu for our barking owls. You'll hear her out here today. She's making a few little chirrupy noises. They're her happy noises. She's actually not working all that hard, but she is getting some of her favourite treats. Now, barking owls are capable of making a few different vocalizations though. So barking, where they get their name from, they do have a sound that is quite similar to that of a little dog barking. And males and females will actually duet that bark, with males having a deeper sounding tone. The other sound that they are incredibly well known for making, which is either terrifying or hilarious, depending on your perspective, is that when the nesting hole of a pair of barking owls is under threat, they will actually let out a sound that's eerily similar to a high-pitched human scream. And I say it's terrifying or hilarious because if you're the one camping all alone in the dead of night and you start hearing a high-pitched human scream come from outside your tent, I don't know if you'd be finding it all that funny. Now, Millie has done a fantastic job out here for us today. Please give it up for Millie, our barking owl.
Super fun, yeah? If you ducked or flinched when she went past, don't worry about that for next time because I can let you know that the lower you duck, the lower she flies. If this is the first time you visited, you might not realise it, but every presentation here is different. We can fly different birds each time. And the reason for that is that we allow our birds the choice to decide whether they'd like to participate. So we've really shifted our expectations here. We don't promise any kind of bird on any day. I really like it. It's putting the birds in control. We're giving the birds that choice. Now, there is one more raptor I'm hoping to introduce you to today, but just before that bird joins us, I just wanted to quickly take a moment to say thank you for visiting today. Conservation is really at the heart of what we do here, and we've got breeding programs for 27 different threatened species. That means we can breed and release threatened mammals like Tassie devils and leadbeater's possums, plus some of the world's most endangered birds, orange-bellied parrots, helmeted honeyeaters, and we've even got breeding programs for reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates. We couldn't do that really important work without you, and I especially wanted to acknowledge our members. And I can see a few of you here with your lanyards today. I hope that those of you who are visiting are enjoying that membership because we really, really appreciate the support. So thank you. Yeah. That's Callista, that's the boyfriend of Quasi we saw at the very beginning, and Pinjari making a little bit of an encore. For our final raptor today, we're going to have a look at one of the largest species of raptor in Australia. Your name is a little bit of a tongue twister. We're going to be meeting a black-breasted buzzard, and to make my job even harder, this one's name is Bernice the black-breasted buzzard. She is a broad-winged raptor. Her wingspan can reach 1.5 meters wide. They're really good at soaring and gliding. Those white patches on her wings that are visible from above and below help to identify them. And she doesn't need to beat her wings very often when she's flying. Beautiful flight, girl. Now, as well as being comfortable up in the air, these birds are also comfortable on the ground. That is pretty unusual for raptors. I tell you, my dog does not even walk like this. It's because this species does a lot of their hunting on the ground. They're happy to eat carrion or dead animals that they find. What they're really famous for, though, is eating the eggs of other birds. So they eat the eggs and the chicks that they find both up in the trees, but also the birds that nest on the ground. And that includes birds like swans, brolgas, and emus, which lay massive green eggs that look like this. Now this one is a replica, but you can kind of get the picture that it's too big for her to pick up. It's also got a really thick shell. If she needed to break into an emu egg, she would almost need a hammer, and her hammer in the wild is a rock. So she needs to go and look for a rock that's the right size that she can pick. Oh, I threw that a really long way. But watch what she does. She's going to bring that back to the egg, line it up, smash it open immediately. How good was that? Well done, girl. She's used that rock as a tool. That provides food for a buzzard for 3 or 4 days. So it's a really worthwhile behaviour for her to do. That was Bernice, the black-breasted buzzard. She was awesome today. Thank you. If you think that that is just a trick that we taught that bird to do. We didn't even need to teach her how to do that. It's an instinctive behaviour. I think that makes it even more interesting. They all know exactly what to do with emu eggs the very first time they see one. And they're found in Central Australia, so not that easy to see in the wild. We really hope that you enjoyed having the opportunity to meet Bernice and all of the other spirits of the sky today.
Thank you so much for coming out to Healesville Sanctuary. We hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.